Welcome to the Wake Up Podcast. I am so excited that you're here. Listen, these podcasts are best listened to in the morning because we are waking up not only our bodies from sleeping, but we're waking up our minds, we're waking up our focus, we're waking up our calling, and we are following the breadcrumbs that God has left for us throughout the day over our life to tell us exactly what to do next. So stop saying that you don't know what to do. Stop feeling overwhelmed. Stop living in the valley and start walking into your calling. So I'm so excited you're here. Welcome to the show.
Just like, there's so many naysayers and people that, it's not their fault that they don't believe in what we're doing. It's just, they haven't gotten to where we are, because I was that person for a long time that was like, listen, you need to wake up and go to work at 8, and you need to get off at 5, come home, cook dinner, and then take care of the kids, do everything you need to do, go to bed exhausted. And that's just the way you got to do it. And if you don't like your job, it doesn't really matter, because if it's a good job and you're getting paid good money, then you get through it. But God didn't create us to be like that. And, we're not made to be that way. So that's why, like Alicia, she wasn't happy at her job, and she was like, well, what else is out there? And look at what she found. And then I was like, I have to do something until I figure out what I'm doing, because I'm like in the middle of everything. And the perfect opportunity came up. Yes, I was getting nervous, but every time I got to that place, I just literally put my hands up and I was like, nope, you take it. Like, I was refusing to go down into the deep, deep valley. I'm like just skimming over it, like skipping rocks. And you know what? It turned out to be the best position. It was everything and more than I prayed for. So just remember that if you guys are going through something. But my point was, I miss you guys.
I love that you say it's like skipping rocks, because it's exactly how I feel. Like you're you touch the valley and you're like, oh my gosh, God, please don't let me go there. Please. Okay. I'm going to stay focused on you. I'm going to do what I need. And then, you the second you get distracted, the second you stop praying, it's like you go right back down, because it's just so hard when you're at rock bottom like that.
Yes. And honestly, in January, before I got my job, I was getting really upset, and I was really close to that place, like I said, but sometimes there wasn't even the words, you just either open up the Bible and just start reading, and it doesn't even have to make sense to you. Just the words will lift you up. Listen to Christian music, or if you're not a Christian, or, you're just a beginner with God, you don't even have to do that. You can literally type in your phone, I am statements, or, positive affirmations, put your headphones on and listen to that. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything, and just feed in good stuff, because your own mind is your worst enemy,
Mm-hmm.
like we've talked about before, but
mm-hmm. Right. The number one secret to 6 figures in network marketing that I always said was mindset. And then I was like, it's not the number one secret in network marketing. It's the number one secret in all of life. I mean, God is the number one secret. Not really a secret, but God is the number one thing that you can choose to be successful. But you still need your mind to be in the right spot. You still need to believe God exists and he's there. Do you believe in what he says? Because it's not enough to just know, you have to believe. And if you don't believe that your life is going to get better, and if you don't believe that there's a way out, you'll never find one. You'll never find a way out. It'll never get better. But I think the biggest thing for me to think of now versus where I was is that, because there's a lot of things that we learn, but without experiencing it, there's still a piece of information that you're missing because you haven't experienced it. So you know it, but then you experience it and you're like, oh, that's what they mean. That's what this is. Okay. I understand this now. And so I think for me is one, you will have the fruit of the Spirit. So if your fruit is rotten, okay, if what you're doing isn't producing fruit, if what you're doing, you're not being successful, if what you're doing, you don't feel good, if you have anxiety, if you have depression, if you're stressed out, if you're overwhelmed, if you're burnt out, if you're doubting yourself, if you're reaching for coping mechanisms like perfectionism and the approval of others and pride and addiction and all of these things, then that's your fruit. That's what you're showing. I never knew that there was a way to tell how connected someone was to God and who he created them to be. Like, I never knew that other people could see that. And then now when I've gotten on this side of it, and now I can see the brokenness. I can see that what's happening with people. And that's why I couldn't keep coaching people to move forward in a business that I could blatantly see was not the path for them. It was not producing any fruit. It wasn't making them feel any better. They didn't feel successful. They didn't feel worthy. If anything, it made you feel worthless. It made you doubt your self-worth because you're doing something over and over that everyone keeps telling you you can make it, but you're not making it. And so why is everyone else making it but me? And why is this not working for me? But when I got to the top of it and I looked down, I could see that everyone saying I'm making it wasn't actually true. That I was like, oh, okay, people are all just acting like they're making it. Okay. It's like one of our core values of our church is that we refuse to play church. And I really like that. And that just means like, we're not going to pretend like we're all prim and proper and Sunday shows up and holy art thou. And here we are in church and we worship the Lord. Like, we show up as ourselves as we do on Wednesday night when we're in a bad mood. Like, we show up and we show people when you plug into a group, you're saying that you're going to be vulnerable and real. You're going to talk about addictions. You're going to talk about things that you struggle with. You're going to talk about, because we don't want people thinking that anyone's perfect here. And in that industry, that's what's painted, is that this next level, this next thing is greater and bigger and better. And we want everyone to keep striving for more. So that's why we all just talk about how great everything is. But when I started looking and seeing that it wasn't, I couldn't give people the advice anymore that they need to make a list of 10 people and set up a Fab Five call and do these, like, cause I'm like, this isn't what you're supposed to be doing. Like, clearly this isn't for you. And so my favorite quote that I've been saying a lot is, if it doesn't feel good, you're probably doing it wrong. It doesn't have to be so hard. It meaning life. Your life doesn't have to be so hard. It doesn't. You don't have to struggle the way that you do. There's a whole other side. But what I want to start to do, you're going to see a shift happen on these calls, because I continue to preach and teach and help and inspire people to do the things that I'm currently learning and figuring out myself. And there's no better time to teach something than when you're fresh learning it. So if you feel like you need to get more experience or wait more time before you create the course or start the thing or figure it out, don't wait. Do it now. If you're at the beginning stage of something, now is the time to do it. Or if you're like, okay, I'm just learning about this and I'm really passionate about it, then start talking about that now. And then as you pivot and sway down your trail, your topics will change and, you'll continue to grow. So what you focus on will be different. But I've been in the valley. August 2020 is when I realized I was in the deepest part of the valley. All the way to the end of 2021, really it was August of 2021, I was wrestling with God and knew that he was trying to break me and tell me like, hello, I'm the answer. I finally agree with him and I decide to follow him for a full year. And it took me a really long time to get out of the valley. I would say that I had a big breakthrough at the end of 2021. At the very end of the year, I feel like I completely let go of that last chain that was holding me in the valley. And I broke out, and I knew my identity, and I had healed old wounds, and I knew who I wanted to impact, and I knew my purpose. And since the beginning of this year, I've been consistently on this path of teaching people how to co-create their life with God, to have the best life of their dreams, to figure out their purpose, to heal themselves, to turn to God, to be who He wants you to be abundant, to be successful, to be happy, fulfilled, all these things. And since I realized that at the beginning of this year, things have begun to change, but I've still been in healing. So I want you to know that if you're healing, if you're changing, if you're pleading with God, it's going to be different phases. It's going to take some time. And for me, like this, I haven't even started my arrival. I still feel like there is so much to learn. There is so much to go through. And just like a book, you can read it right now, and you can read it again in 2 months, and you can read it again next year, and you can read it in 5 years, and it will change every time that you read it. Things you'll pick up on different things. Things will hit your spirit based on what you're going through right now, and you'll hear it differently. And so even though you can continue to read the same thing over and over and over and it change, the Bible is filled with 40 authors over 1,500 year period of information. It'll take you some time to get through it. And then you have all the studies that people have done on the characters and the books and all of these things. You haven't even begun to scratch the surface of knowledge and that is out there just around God and our purpose and who we are. And I am at a point where I'm not only done talking about getting into action. You know how we talk about getting into action all the time? Like we'll talk about what you need to do next and get out of the valley and, you know, do the hard work and work on yourself and figure out your dreams. And so things that I wanted to accomplish, I wanted to launch a new course. And I knew that, but I didn't know what that entailed. And I just kept writing it everywhere. Redo my course, redo my course, redo my course. And I'm like, I don't even know what I'm going to do. But I knew that what I put out there for network marketers, I no longer was interested in talking about, training on, teaching on. I just became so clear on my vision this year on speaking to women in faith and helping them steward that. And so I just knew that the course needed to come down, and I really loved having a course up to have something to send people to who came to me and were like, I'm desperate for help. What's next? Please help me. And I'm like, I don't know. I have so many things I can tell you to do, but I don't have anything to just hand to you and say, here you go, read this. And so I started writing my book, and I started wanting to have a book for that exact reason, to hand someone the manual of how to change their life. But then I started having people come to me and say, how do I figure out my purpose? I want this so bad. I'm driven. I have good work ethic. I am creative. I will do anything. I am showing up. Just tell me how to find my purpose. I want to be happy. I want to be abundant. And I was trying to figure out in my head how the two questions were different. And I realized that you have to go through the valley. And once you're through the valley, on the other side is when you're like, or maybe you're kind of like going through it. You have to realize that you're going through it, and you have to have the tools to get out. But then that's when you're able to find your purpose. So the two things I felt like were totally separate: someone going through the deepest parts of the valley and someone finding out their purpose. And then the other thing is connecting to these calls. These are three things that I created my brand, and I'm creating what I'm doing based on what I need, based on what I saw other people need, by putting myself through it and walking down the path, figuring out a need for the group. What does the group need? When I was connected in community through network marketing, and I saw everyone unfulfilled and everyone stressed, I'm like, what do we need? We need a call to pump people up, to breathe life into them on a daily basis. We used to do a Monday through Friday. I did a Monday through Friday for like a year and a half. And so that's why we created the calls, because it was out of a need. We needed these calls. I needed these calls. And so I now want to inspire you and teach you how to move forward into actually doing the things that you're supposed to be doing, creating the courses and putting them up, creating the scrapbooks and posting them, creating the tutorials and posting it, hosting the podcast and interviewing people and getting it up. Like, I want us to get it up and get it out. That's what we need to be doing now. If we're healing and we've moved through this, how amazing to be able to now create the thing that makes an impact. And so I have learned that if you're procrastinating something and you, for whatever reason, aren't doing it, it's because God doesn't want you to do it right now. He doesn't want it up right now. If your book was supposed to be for sale right now, it would be for sale right now. If you were supposed to be a podcaster right now, you would be a podcaster right now. For whatever reason, you are not ready to do it. You don't have all the information you need. You might not be ready to carry the success. Like Alicia said on her interview last Friday, that she's held herself back but on purpose, because she knew she wasn't ready. She knew that when she did this, the lever was going to flip and the sales were going to come pouring in, and she wasn't ready to receive all of those sales. She wasn't ready, because receiving the sale, you're like, I'm ready to receive. Yeah, it's easy to receive the money, but what about all the sales that go with it? Are you ready to right now do 100 orders that people want next week? Are you ready to right now mentor and coach and train 3 people that are going to join your team and want to run to 6 figures? Like, we pray for the success, but sometimes we're not ready for it. And so what you have to learn to do is to be okay with things not happening for you right now. Learn to be patient. Learn that God's timing is always perfect. Your timing sucks. And you've proven that over and over and over again. We all have. God's timing is never off at all. It is perfect. And since I've believed that and I've found that out, I now, when things happen, I will literally say, oh, God's perfect timing. How perfect was that? Things that happen, it's perfect. It's not like, wow, good timing. You're like, that is like perfect timing. That's crazy. And God's timing is perfect. So don't think that he's, snoozing on you, or he's not paying attention to you, or that you're not going to do it eventually. If you believe that God told you that you were going to have a podcast, that you were going to write a book, that you were going to have a course, that you were going to speak on stage, that you were going to sell a product, that you were going to speak life into other people, that you were going to do something big, believe that and hold on to that and know that that is true. God did speak it. He didn't say when. He spoke it to you, and hold on to that vision and write it down so you don't forget. But let go of impatience, because being impatient just shows God that you don't trust his timing. And it shows God that you don't believe that his plan is best for you. And if you're not obedient to God, then he's not going to make you further ahead along in your journey. He's not going to level you up because you're not ready to level up. If you can't be obedient and realize God's timing is perfect and his plan is better, then you're constantly going to be thinking that your plan is better and your timing is better, which is literally why the devil was thrown out of heaven. Truth. Do you want to continue to be disobedient to God and stay at the same level you're at? Or do you want to learn the lessons he's trying to teach you so that you can finally level up? It doesn't have to take you 35 years. It doesn't have to take you 10 months to figure out how to get out of the valley. If you let down your pride and your ego and put it aside and realize, I do not know what I'm doing. I am a sinner. I suck. I need you. And I'm ready to do this thing. I want to level up. I'm going to learn the lessons so that I can hold on to the success when I get it. If God would have made me a millionaire 2 years ago when I was on my knees begging for him to make me a millionaire, I would have screwed up my life so bad. It wouldn't even have been, I would not be here today. I've talked before about financial immaturity that I've had to overcome, and I'm still overcoming it. I am in no way in perfect shape, but I am overcoming it every day, and I am praying and I'm educating myself and I'm trying to go down that path. But I was blowing money when I was making $25,000 a month. I can't imagine how much money I would be blowing if I was making $100,000 a month. Seriously? Like, think about the dumb things you do with $100. Imagine having $10,000. You know, it's crazy. We're not ready to move on to the next level. If you cannot steward what you have right now, God is not going to give you more, because what you're doing and the lack of that you're really doing is breaking you. I was breaking down. I was stressed out. I was falling to the ground, but yet I was praying for God to make me a millionaire because I thought more money would fix my problems. And he's like, oh, dear me, like, that is not going to work. More money is going to be more problems for her. And it might not be money that you need to overcome. Maybe you need to overcome the approval of others. Maybe you want the success because you want to look good. Maybe you want to be a successful podcaster because you want to finally be cool. You want people to look up to you. You want to throw it in someone's face. Like, oh, look at me. I made it. I am successful. I didn't need you. I feel like Eminem in his rap songs to his mom. like, look at me now. Like, I didn't need you. Look what you did for me. You know, our flesh wants to do that. Our flesh wants to throw it in people's faces and to say things like, I remember being like, I can't wait to make $1 million and just rub it in everyone's face. Like, look at me. Oh, you laughed at me when I quit my job. Oh, well, look at me now. You know, and we want to do that. And that's not right. That's not the spirit to have. You know, it wasn't right when Will Smith smacked Chris Rock last night at the Oscars. But you know what? It's our flesh, and it's a lot of people agree with him. A lot of people are like, yep, I would have did it too. Doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't mean that's what God would do. God tells us to be like him. He wouldn't go up there and smack him in the face. In fact, when Jesus was made fun of and when he was mocked, he didn't even say anything. He just stood there in silence, didn't even defend himself. So we all have areas that we need to work on in order to level up. And so once I saw that this is what held me back, like, I am teaching you guys exactly what I've been doing to move through this journey. And people who have been with me and who have seen this happen and who know what God spoke over my life and who know my entire journey intimately and where I've been are just as blown away as I am that this is actually working, that this is how it goes. And then now that I'm in this world of co-creating my life with God and truly getting out of the valley and finding my purpose and being on fire, it is physically evident that I have found my fire. I mean, you can tell. People message me all the time. You're so passionate. How are you just like so alive? You're vibrating at a high currency. I can see it, a frequency. I can see it. You're glowing. Like, this is what happens when you link with God. It is literally because you become alive and you just come to life, like winter to spring to summer. The valley is dead and miserable and terrible. But as you walk out of it, as you walk through the valley, you get through it. And then you see that there's all of this life to create. And so I am so sick and tired of seeing people that are dead in the valley who don't even know they're there. And like April said at the beginning of this call, they think it's normal. Well, I have 4 kids and a full-time job. Of course I'm miserable. Of course. I mean, I didn't go to college, so how do you expect me to make a lot of money? I don't have any options. I only went to college, or I didn't go to college. I only went to 1 class. That's what the world thinks. I was talking to a guy the other day and he's like, well, I didn't even graduate high school. And I was like, who cares? Why does that even matter? Why did you even say that? Like, I don't care. I mean, my dad dropped out in 9th grade and he's a millionaire. That doesn't matter. I mean, look at the people that have dropped out. You don't need an education. Now, this isn't an anti-education speech by any means, because there's a lot of things that you need to do. And a lot of people can't self-teach. They can't hold themselves accountable to do their work, to educate themselves. So showing up in a classroom or something like that is great for them. They prefer that. I'm just here to tell you that it doesn't matter what you don't have or what you lack or what you've gone through or who's done what to you or what you're hanging on to or what you can't overcome. It all can be overcome by God. It all can come back together with God. I am proof. And now I've seen hundreds of people bring their life back together in this work. This will work for you. Will you show up and keep doing the things that you're supposed to? Will you continue to work on your belief? Will you continue to be obedient to God and break your spirit when you read things that talk about, do not worry about tomorrow, for today has enough worries of itself. Don't worry about tomorrow. You're going to rob yourself of right now. Being obedient to God is actually not worrying. I haven't traveled since last June, mostly for my mental health. I used to travel, gosh, like every weekend, every other weekend, I was always doing something, flying somewhere, speaking, training, doing something. And I haven't left since June. And this has been my safe haven. My home and my family and God has been my safe haven. I have needed this environment. I have clung on to this environment. And I have, in a sense, isolated into this environment because it's safe. And I love who I am when I am in my house and I have my family and I'm not distracted by the world. I love who I am. When I'm out into the world, I don't always love who I am. I don't always love what I say. I don't always love how I act. I don't always love how I compare myself, how I try to get approval of others, how I try to control situations. You know, we can only be aware of these things once we realize that they're there, and then healing them is hard. It's not like, okay, approval of others. Okay, done. I'm not going to care about that anymore. You know how hard it is to just like boop, flip the switch, done. Don't care. You can say you don't care, but what does your inside say when you're trying to, this is real life. This is really what happened to me. Yesterday I'm packing my clothes and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to wear. And I'm like, what do you wear in Nashville in the spring? Like, what is the weather like? You know, anytime you go on a trip, this is what you look, you pull up the weather, you look at it. I went on Pinterest, I typed in spring Nashville style inspiration and saw a bunch of pictures and great inspiration of stuff to wear. And so I pulled out all my summer stuff and I started trying stuff on. It's not going to be super warm there, but you know, I wanted to see what I had other than winter sweaters. So I pulled stuff out and I started trying stuff on, and I just couldn't believe some of the clothes that were in this bin from last summer. So it's only been a summer, okay? It's only not even been a full summer. I put these clothes away in probably October, and now it's March. And I pulled them out, and some of the things that I was putting on, I just felt vulnerable. I just felt like this is inappropriate. Like some of the stuff I would put on, like a tank top, it was like super low cut, super skin tight, this little tiny mini skirt, all of this stuff. And I'm like putting it on. And of course, you know, my husband's watching me trying on all my clothes. It's his favorite part about me packing. He's like, can I come and watch you try on your stuff? I'm like, yeah, of course, that's what you want to do. So he's sitting there and he's like, I really like that outfit. I was like, I'm sure you do. And what do you think every other guy is going to be thinking when I walk into a restaurant or a bar? He's probably going to be like, oh, dang, I really like that outfit. And I just felt like, I'm like, why? I do not want to wear this. Like the thought of wearing it and people staring at me was making me feel uncomfortable. Just my own husband staring at me, that I realized that because I just realized a couple of weeks ago, this approval of others that's been in me. And I know that I dressed like that before because I wanted the approval of others. I was insecure in myself. And I'm not saying if you wear a mini skirt and a tight tank top that you are insecure and, you know, because you're not. But for me, I instantly was like this. I wanted people to look at me. I wanted people to approve of me and to see me, because I didn't feel seen and I didn't feel approved of. And so this was a way to do it. And so as you learn and grow and move down your journey, you're going to be more confident in yourself. I was asked in that interview from the summit that I did last week, how I'm able to be confident. And it took a really long time, but once you start to grow your confidence, it's just easy to be confident. Once you know who you are, once you're like, I know who I am, I know who I was created to be, I know whose daughter I am, I know my purpose, I know my mission, you just walk a little different. You wake up differently. You handle situations differently. You handle bombs in your life differently. You handle death differently. You handle heartbreak. You handle all of it just differently. And so I am really excited to see where people are going to next. Now, my course comes out April 1st, which is Friday, at the end of this week. And I have, as I was creating this course, so this is the second course that I've created now, and it was totally different than the first course that I created. This course has been so easy for me to make. Once I was ready to do it and God said, let's go, let's do it, which by the way, I didn't mark out in my calendar. I wasn't like Tuesday at 6, I'm going to start recording. I did not even think about recording. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, I'm just going to record this video right now, and opened Zoom and started recording. Like, it was insane what happened. I recorded there's 5 total videos. I recorded all of them in the first take with no edits. I think there's one edit. Oh yeah, there's one edit because Skylar came like barging in her underwear. Like, okay, and pause. Like, let me edit this out. But all of those were so easy. They just flew out of my mouth. I had to make a list of everything I need to do this week while I'm in Nashville for the course launch. And all of it just came out of my mind so fast. And I made this awesome master to-do list of like every single thing I could think of. Last night I sit down, I had 10 minutes left of I was whitening my teeth, and I had 10 minutes left of being tethered to my computer with my whitening tray. And I opened Canva and I'm like, let me look at these YouTube thumbnails that I need to make for these videos, how I want to design them. And in less than 10 minutes, I designed all 5. And it is a fresh design. It looks different than how I normally design things, but yet still similar, different pictures. It looked so good. And I was so in love with how it turned out. And it was so fast. When you finally link with who you are and why you're here and what you are to do, and you start being obedient, God says, stop worrying. And you actually do. And you pray about it and you focus on not worrying. When God says, this is what you were created for, this is who you are, and you actually start to believe him instead of doubting who God said you are. I doubted for a very long time. That was probably one of the hardest things I had to overcome, was the devil's voice in my head. Like, why are you even showing up? Nobody is watching your stuff. Look at your likes. They're not even that high. You're not even getting enough followers. If people are not interested in what you have to say, this is never going to work. Can you please just stop? Like, literally begging me to stop. Telling me that I'm not worth it, that this isn't going to work, that I'm like, Nate, am I like sick in the head? Am I like crazy? Like, I feel like I'm so into myself and I'm so arrogant that like, I think that I'm going to be this like big inspirational speaker person. Like, here I am thinking like I'm super good. People are probably like, oh my gosh, she's not even that good. And she like keeps talking like she's going to speak at the MGM. Like, okay, she can't even speak at the local church. Like, and I'm like embarrassed that I keep showing up and acting like I have this belief, like, oh, I'm going to start this business. I'm going to host this podcast. Like, who do I think I am? You know, imposter syndrome. And I talk about it in my course because it was such a hard thing to overcome. It took forever for me to turn down that voice and not listen to it at all anymore. It took so long. And I think why it took so long is because I was stubborn and I wouldn't change and I wouldn't give these things over to God. But then eventually I learned, because over time I experienced God showing me that what he said was true. And I would start praying for validation, because God knows that I need the approval from other people. So I'm like, God, I know you said it, but can you just send me a couple people today that just like validate that? Like, and I would get a couple messages of people saying like, thank you for what you do. I'm so grateful that you have the courage to do this. Thank you for showing up for us. Like people saying things, and I experienced that. And I'm like, okay, obviously God, like, I know that this is where I'm supposed to be. So over time, I kept experiencing this, and then my belief got stronger, and I just kept learning more of who God said I was. I joined a big part of my journey. I joined at the beginning of this year is called New Life Regeneration. They have a virtual class I have been looking into because I take it at my church, and my church didn't create it. We just host it. And I found the church who created it, Watermark Church. And I went on their website and I found that they have virtual Zoom regeneration meetings, and you can sign up online. So if you are interested in a 12-month recovery program to recover from over 104 different things, there's a whole list of 104 different things. You can click the link on my bio on Instagram, and the link is under resources at the bottom. You can click that and you can sign up and you can join the recovery program. I highly recommend doing that for every single person, especially if you don't think you have anything to recover from. If you're interested in God leveling you up, then I highly recommend doing it. It's a class that meets once a week. You do a morning book with God. The class is free. You just have to pay for the books. The books are like $10, and there's a few of them that you buy throughout the year. Super cheap, super easy, good resource. It will literally change so much about you. But now that I know that this course is about to change so many people's lives, like going through this course and me teaching everything that I've done, it's only selling for $111. And this, I think, is worth over $1,000. But I'm not putting this up there to make money. I'm putting this out there because I want people to do it. I want you to go through it so that you can open your eyes and see what's next. I'm creating it because I want you to use it. I don't want to make a lot of money, but I'm putting a price tag on it because the best advice I ever got, and this is advice to you when you create something, if people pay for it, they pay attention to it. If you give something for free, they're not going to pay attention to it because it was free. Just like if you got a free car, you wouldn't care for it as much as you worked your butt off to get that car. So it's true with us. We teach our kids this lesson, but it's true with us too, that don't ever create things that are of a ton of value and give them away for free. Obviously there's like free offers and, little mini things that we offer people. Like this call is free. There are things that we give freely. But a course or anything like that, if you want people to actually go through it and change their life, make them have some skin in the game. And so going through this, depending on what level you're at in the valley, this is for every single person who wants to find out what their purpose is. Even if you have zero relationship with God, even if you feel like you have it all figured out, it's for any level. But also, I know now that all of you guys are going to have this light bulb moment of, I know why I'm here. I know why I'm here. And even if you think you know the business you're creating, you think you know your brand, you're like, yeah, I'm pretty good on this. If you don't feel 100%, like I for sure know the direction I'm moving in, and I feel empowered and I'm in creation mode and this feels like it's flowing to me. If you don't feel like that, you need the course. Because it's going to set you on fire and it's going to just blow more gasoline on it and bring you to new levels and new passion. So I know that you guys are going to have these light bulb moments that you're going to be like, this is incredible. My whole life just changed. I'm creating, I'm doing, I'm becoming, and I need to keep up with you guys. I need to stay a few steps ahead. So you're going to see a difference in the podcast because we're going to get into, I'm going to now just start saying, if you need to get out of the valley, you need to get the book. And if you need to find your purpose, you need to get the course. These calls are going to be to keep people connected and keep believing in each other and keep pushing each other and keep growing and learning and experiencing what more a brand has to offer. The cool things you can do once you have a brand, because now that you know the basics, after you go through the course, you'll know the basics of your Instagram. You'll have a bio, you'll have matching highlights, you'll have a clear profile picture, you'll know how to take pictures, the right way, you'll know how to have everything match so there's no confusion, that you'll have the perfect link that leads someone to a free offer. You'll have it all set up, and then you'll be consistent and you'll be showing up and creating. But what's going to happen is you're going to need help with how to launch a podcast. I've had a few people ask me lately, like, how did you launch your podcast? What podcast platform do you use? How do you get on Apple Podcasts? What kind of mic did you buy? Do you use the mic? Like, I bought a mic, but I don't use it. I use it once in a great while. I would have saved the $150 and I would have just not gotten one in the beginning. So there's things like that I want to talk about. And I want to have people on and guest speakers on who can come in and they can give us the information, like, oh, you wrote a best-selling book. How did you do it? How did you get started? So that if you want to write a book, you can listen to the call and you can learn on that. Or how did you start a course? Where is it sold at? How did you figure out what platform to sell it on? How do you connect it? How do you get like your emails to go out? How do you automate everything? These are things that I've spent over $100,000 investing over the last year to figure out. I literally $100,000 you can see leaving my bank account little by little by little, month by month by month, investing. I paid a private coach. I paid a private company in Australia to help me brand and automate and create email nurtures. I paid assistants, virtual assistants who had to work and set up things for me and learn things with me. I've done so much. And now I want to pour that information into you guys so that you can go and you can blow up and you can make an impact through your mission and your heart and your story and who you are and why you're showing up and why you're here. And the quote that I said at the beginning, that if you want to change the world, you have to start with yourself. This is why the quote is the perfect quote for my life, because when I was journaling about wanting to end my life just 2 years ago and journaling about the deepest valley I was in, and is it ever going to stop? And is the noise going to go away? And am I going to be healed? Do I have the power to change this around? Am I going to lose this battle? I went from that 2 years ago to now making an impact in all of these things that just is the most amazing thing to experience. And it wasn't just like, oh, because Taryn's just different and super special and like unique. I'm not. I'm just like you. And so I know that if I did this, that you can absolutely do this too. The only reason why you haven't is because you don't know what to do. You don't have the community of people rooting you on and cheering for you that are like-minded and want the same goals that you want. And you just haven't done it. You haven't believed that you could do it. You didn't think you were worth it. You didn't think you were capable. But I'm here to tell you that you are capable. You are chosen. You are anointed. The time is now. God gave you this gift. He put you on this call for a reason. He has more things in store for you than you could ever imagine. And so now I want to empower you to go and grab them, go and learn about them, go and achieve them, because it's just going to be incredible. So I'm creating in about right when I get off of here. So if you're listening to the recording, it's already up. But if you're on live, give me about 10 minutes. I'm going to put a link at the top of in my bio to get on the Find Your Purpose email list so that you can, I'm going to actually do a giveaway. I'm going to give away 3 free enrollments for the course on Friday. And all you have to do to get, I originally was going to do it on Instagram, like and share and tag and all that stuff. But I'm like, this is too confusing. So I'm just going to have people fill out their information, first and last name, phone number, and email to get on the list. And I'm going to pick 3 random people off that list to get free enrollment into the course. So send the link to people that you know, so they have a chance to win. And it goes on sale on Friday. So I am going to be in Nashville. I am going to try to find a place to record on Wednesday and Friday. the house that we rented is pretty big and there's really cool spots in it. So I'm hoping that there will be spots, but I'm going with other people. And so it's going to be 8:15 in the morning there. And I think the people I'm going with aren't going to be waking up early. So I don't want to be in the house, like screaming, you know, wake up, like inspirational stuff when they're all trying to go to bed. But I will let you guys know. I'm going to go there tonight. John and I are going to find a place that I can do the recordings, and I'll let you know in the Telegram chat. If you are interested in joining our calls live or being a part of our community chat where you can ask questions, get the resources we talk about on here, that link is in my bio too. You can sign up, get the Zoom ID and the Telegram link. And it's that simple. It's free. You can get on whenever you want, as often as you want. Hold yourself accountable, show up, be a part of it. But thank you so much for being on here and listening. I love you all so much. I cannot wait to see what happens, the dreams that you create and that finally come to light, that you've been waiting for them to birth forever. The time is now. This is the time. It's going to happen soon. So I love you guys. Bye. Thank you for listening and spending your morning with me. I pray that God blesses your day and that he helps you to see the calling that is on your life. Lord, help us to be obedient to what you've called us to do. Help us to walk in our day side by side with you and link with your power instead of trying to do it on our own. We know we cannot do this on our own, although we try. Please continue to help us and continue to lead us and guide us. We love you so much. In Jesus' holy name, amen. Have a blessed day. Thanks for being here. Oh, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Taryn Sarconi so that you can grow with me and you can learn how to get out of the valley, how to stay out of the valley, and exactly what to do to have the best life ever in 2022.